Xeno. The meta series has been going on for almost 25 years. Naturally, this brings with it a lot of interesting and strange facts throughout its history. On this iceberg, we will explore the series' stories, gameplay, development, and community. The top of the iceberg covers common knowledge about the games, but the further down the iceberg we travel, the more obscure and peculiar these facts become. This iceberg was created by LXGK, along with the help from other Xeno fans, and the full image can be found in the description of this video. If you wish to see anything added to this iceberg so that it may be covered in a future video, feel free to leave it in a comment in the description or contact me for the details included at the top of the iceberg image. Me being LXGK, because he's the showrunner of the whole thing, you could send it to the it doesn't really matter either way. Oh, and also, the further down we go, the more we will run into spoilers for all of the games, so you have been warned. Without further ado, let's start from the top. Tier 1.
Super Smash Bros. The first Xenoblade character to be added into Smash Bros. Was Shulk from Xenoblade 1, who was announced in August of 2014. He was one of the initial 48 characters who released with the game, along with the new Xenoblade stage titled Gower Plain, as well as 8 new songs. The next Xenoblade character to be added was Pyra/Mythra, who was revealed in February of 2021 as the 4th DLC character of the second Fighter Pass. She released alongside a new stage known as the Cloud Sea of Allrest, as well as an additional 19 songs. The only reference to Xenoblade X within Smash is in the form of Spirit, where Elma, Lin, Lao, and Tatsu appear.
I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it is a battle line Shulk speaks when reaching a high tension state in Xenoblade. When Shulk was revealed for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, his reveal trailer opened up with a scene of him using backslash on Bowser, and then speaking, "I'm really feeling it," which became a meme as it continued to be used as one of his taunts in Smash.
I'm really feeling it! I'm really feeling it!
And is also said by Zeke in Xenoblade 2.
I'm really feeling it!
Xenoblade's music. Xenoblade has some great tunes, some, such as You Will Know Our Names, being so popular that they have become recognizable to people who know nothing of the game itself.
Xenoblade Rule 34. Hey, did I say that right? Is that right? I did. Okay. Well, after conducting extensive research, don't have too much to say for this one. I have no doubt that there are some people out there who got into Xenoblade for this. So, moving on.
Adam Howden. Adam Howden is Shulk's voice actor. Prior to voicing Shulk, he was beloved for his work voicing Anders in Dragon Age, among other roles.
Monolith Soft, the creators of the Xenoblade and Xenosaga games. Monolith Soft was founded in 1999 by Tetsuya Takahashi, Hirohide Sugiura, Yasuyuki Hone, and the founder of Namco, Masaya Nakamura. Many of Monolith Soft's initial staff were actually people who previously worked on Xenogears, but had left Square to work on Takahashi's next game, Xenosaga Episode 1.
Nopon. Nopon are a recurring race in the Xenoblade series. As adults, they stand only roughly 2 feet tall and are round, colorful, sentient lifeforms with 6 appendages. Wing-like arms on their upper back can be used to fly for short periods of time. Nopon are often nomadic and traders, but also live among other races or within their own settlements, such as Frontier Village, located in the largest tree of Machel Forest. British voice acting. Xenoblade Chronicles was originally translated to English just for an EU audience, and was not planned to release in North America. Therefore, the game was dubbed by EU voice actors, which has since become a staple for the series.
Shulk. The protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles, Shulk is a blonde, 18-year-old Homs living in Colony 9, along with his childhood friends Fiora and Rein. An awkward, gentle researcher at heart, his life suddenly changes when the Mechon invade his home and kill Fiora, sending him on a journey of revenge across the Bionis. Along his journey, Shulk gathers several other people to his cause, and comes to the slow realization that perhaps there's a reason behind the state of the world, and finding the answers is more important than his quest for revenge. The Monado. The Monado is the iconic red sword prominent within the original game, as well as the titular Xenoblade, which was believed to be wielded by the Bionis itself against the Mechonis. Capable of utilizing arts that bolster the wielder's potential, the Monado initially is the only weapon capable of slicing through the Mechon and giving the Homs a fighting chance. Most importantly, it confers onto Shulk the ability to glimpse visions of the future. Eventually, the blade is revealed to belong to Zanza, the soul of the Bionis, whose spirit is housed within it. Not only this, but it is also revealed to be one of 3 Monados in the story, Mainif, the soul of the Mechonis, possessing one, and Shulk's true Monado being the third to manifest at the end.
Xenoblade 2's voice acting. In terms of voice acting, many agree that Xenoblade 1 knocked it out of the park, with actors like Adam Howden, whose voice acting is constantly given high praise. However, many argue that the ball was dropped when it came to Xenoblade 2, with moments involving screams that aren't good, or simply tones that mismatch with scene and animations. It's also been said that the voice actors themselves were given next to no context or hardly any direction, simply having been handed a script with a vague idea of the story, not even seeing the cutscenes themselves until the game came out. If this is true, then it is no wonder the end result was as much of a mixed bag as it was to many people. Xenoblade 2 character design controversy. Since the game was shown off, it has been criticized endlessly about its character designs, whether it be Rex and people disliking his goofy scuba gear, or that many of the female character designs are over-sexualized. This has been a popular discussion point since the game's release, and probably will be for its foreseeable future. Rein time. Rein time is an iconic phrase uttered in several battle lines from the bold and boisterous character Rein. The line became a popular meme for the game's fans, and was also adapted into Smash Bros, with Shulk saying, "Now it's Shulk time," a little bit out of character for a quiet, nerdy hero though.
Tier 2.
Tetsuya Takahashi. Tetsuya Takahashi is the co-founder and director of Monolith Soft, where he is one of the main writers for the Xenoblade and Xenosaga series, as well as Xenogears, which he also directed and wrote alongside his now wife, Kaori Tanaka, also known by her pen name, Soraya Saga. Both Takahashi and Saga have a keen interest in philosophy and religion, and these interests are found throughout all of the Xeno series.
Xenogears. Xenogears is the first Xeno title in the series, created in 1998 by Squaresoft, with Tetsuya Takahashi as the director. It is an RPG where you follow the story of a boy named Faye. The gameplay of Xenogears revolves around navigating the environment, both on foot and using humanoid mecha named Gears. Combat is turn-based with an active time battle system.
The Xenosaga series. The Xenosaga series is Xenogears' spiritual successor. After staff disagreements over Xenogears' development and the series' future, members left their staff positions at Squaresoft and formed the newly founded Monolith Soft. This is the first role-playing game series the company created, a science fiction RPG whose theme was inspired by the philosophical interpretations of the works of Friedrich Nietzsche. Worldwide thought to only consist of 3 episodes, in Japan, the series has had many pieces of supplemental material, such as drama CDs, official website exclusive series episodes, spin-off games, and more. These games are also dripping with religious tones.
Nintendo, Bamco, and Square Enix. What is significant about these 3 companies is that each own a different Xeno IP. Nintendo owns Xenoblade, Bandai Namco owns Xenosaga, and Square Enix owns Xenogears.
Land of Challenge. Added into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as DLC, the Land of Challenge is a realm accessed through portals found around Alrest after the completion of Chapter 3. Upon entry, Rex and the party come across Shulk and Homs Fiora, who had been transported from their world, though issues arise considering Shulk uses the Monado despite him only doing so after Homs Fiora had died. Here, the player can also find a Nopon called the Nopon Archsage, who offers a series of challenges against waves of enemies of varying difficulty. Included in these challenges is one that has the party encounter Elma.
Playable Flesh Eater Jin. While playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Jin enters your party a couple of times. First time is during the investigation of the ancient ship in Chapter 1, however, it is not possible to play as him. The second time is during Chapter 8, where a wounded Jin joins Rex and Mithra. On this occasion, Jin is fully playable, and the player can transport to other areas around Alrest while playing as him. In contrast to playing as Jin in Torna, the Golden Country, here he possesses very overpowered arts such as Heavenly Disrupt, which topples, launches, and smashes in a single move. This version of Jin is also playable in the Land of Challenge mission, Titan Battleship Assault.
Subreddits. There are several subreddits for the Xeno games, the most popular of which being r/Xenoblade Chronicles, that has just over 100,000 members.
Bigger Gun. A meme that originated from the song Black Tar, where the singer asks for a bigger gun.
Pro Controller. Alongside the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and its special edition, a Xenoblade 2 themed Nintendo Switch Pro Controller was also released, bearing colors and icons similar to the Aegis. Ace, Manami Kiyota, and Kenji Hiramatsu. These people are part of the main team of composers behind the Xenoblade series. They mostly handle the area themes and battle music.
Yasunori Mitsuda. In relation to the Xeno Meta series, Yasunori Mitsuda is a veteran as he was the composer of Xenogears back in 1998. After this, Mitsuda then went on to compose for Xenosaga Episode 1, and become part of the musical team behind Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Yasunori Mitsuda only composed the ending song Beyond the Sky in the first Xenoblade Chronicles.
Discord servers. Just like subreddits, there are also a range of Xeno game discords, yet again the biggest of which being the Xenoblade Reddit Discord with over 9,000 users.
Mithra's cooking. Whilst Pyra is shown to be an excellent cook, Mithra is the straight opposite. Her food is so disgusting that it appeared to make Adam and Milton pass out onto the floor after trying a single bite. It is later described as an atrocity and is even stated to deal more damage than any artifice ever could.
Territorial Rotbart. The name of the giant gorilla-like enemy near the beginning of every Xenoblade game. This unique monster is always extremely overleveled for the area it is in, and encountering it on first playthroughs always means instant death if you can't run away in time. In Xenoblade Chronicles X, this enemy is instead known as the tyrant enemy Hayreddin the Territorial, with Hayreddin referring to the Ottoman Admiral Hayreddin Barbarossa, and both Barbarossa and Rotbart meaning Redbeard in Italian and German respectively.
Lynn's hair clips. In Xenoblade Chronicles X, the character Lynn has 2 hair clips that looks exactly like Shulk's Monado. There is no in-universe reason for this barring it being a reference to the previous game.
Ardanian voice lines. When Xenoblade Chronicles 2 first released, around the first couple of hours players would encounter many battles against Ardanian soldiers at Torgoth on the Ardanian battleship. People quickly realized these soldiers kept repeating the same voice lines incredibly frequently. Fighting more than one of them would lead to voice lines stacking loudly repeating, "Think you can take me, don't forget me, and you're done." These lines would be shared abundantly and became memes within the community. To the dismay of many who enjoyed this meme, it was patched out with the version 1.20 update on January 18, 2018. However, the meme has become so well known that it is referenced by both Hugo Ardenach in Torna, the Golden Country, who says the line, "Don't forget me," during chain attacks.
Don't forget me!
And Mythra in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, who says, "Think you can take me," as one of her taunts. Xenoblade 2's costume reference. In the Land of Challenge DLC in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you can purchase alternate costumes for the main cast. One of these costumes is called Embercake Zeke, which bears a striking resemblance to Bart from Xenogears. A red, yellow and blue jacket coat, white trousers and blonde hair. The connection is quite obvious, given both Zeke and Bart are both exiled princes who wear eye patches.
Sakurai prefers Pyra. During Masahiro Sakurai's Smash Ultimate presentation for Pyra and Mythra on March 4th, 2021, he quickly remarked how, if he had to choose, "I'd say I like Pyra better. Of course, we're strictly talking about combat ability." Yeah, sure, Sakurai, whatever you say.
The Xenoblade Wiki. The Xenoblade Wiki is the website to use when looking for anything Xenoblade related. It contains pages on anything you could ever need, including how to complete side quests, weapon data, enemy locations, and much more. The wiki is run via fans of the series and free to access for anyone.
Bestest, a very popular meme from Xenoblade Chronicles, originating from a cutscene after defeating the Telethia in Magna Forest, where a young Nopon is heard saying, "Heropon Ricky bestest!"
Heropon Ricky bestest!
This scene was taken and popularized by the Xenoblade YouTube creator, The Agu.
Hiroyuki Sawano. Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3 have music composed by Ace, Kenji Hiramatsu, Manami Kyoto, and Yasunori Mitsuda. But Xenoblade Chronicles X breaks this mold by hiring Hiroyuki Sawano as the sole composer for the game, a popular Japanese composer known for his work in anime such as Attack on Titan.
The Crossover Queen. KOS-MOS is a combat android developed to fight the alien threat known as the Gnosis in the Xenosaga series. While the series ended prematurely, KOS-MOS has cameoed in a multitude of different games. Her appearances include Namco by Capcom, Soul Calibur 3, and many other games that will be touched upon throughout the iceberg. Due to the large amount of cameos she has made in other games, she has been dubbed the Crossover Queen by fans.
Game resale prices. The Xeno Meta series of games is no stranger when it comes to their prices when resold online once they've gone out of print. Xenogears and Xenosaga do not see the biggest of re-releases, especially Xenosaga Episode 3, which goes for prices around $300 to $600 on websites such as eBay. Due to the release of Pyra and Mythra in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, demand for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 went up, and because the game had long since gone out of print, in 2021 physical copies of the game went up in price. This also occurred when Shulk was revealed for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS in 2014, leading to the Wii title also increasing in price. Breath of the Wild costume. In The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, there is a side quest called Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This quest is obtained after updating the game to version 1.3.3. The quest involves Link finding 3 red shooting stars. If Link looks towards the sky at night at 3 specific locations, then the shooting star will fall and crash on the ground to reveal a chest with a red pillar of light emitting from it. By looking south from the middle of the Bridge of Hylia, the player will get a chest containing Salvager headwear. Looking east from the left eye of Skull Lake will give a chest containing a Salvager vest. And by looking southwest from Heber Peak will give the player a chest containing Salvager trousers. These Salvager armor items are of course taken from Rex's Salvager outfit.
Miiverse. Back during the release of Xenoblade Cross in 2015, and as with many Wii U games, there contained many features related to Nintendo's social media platform, Miiverse. Like with other Wii U games on Miiverse, Xenoblade Cross had its own forum for users to create threads to either ask questions, talk about the game, or even post artwork made on the gamepad. Apart from the main community, there were 6 other related communities, 1 for official announcements from the developers, and 5 for Blade Reports. Blade Reports were an in-game chat that would display messages on-screen anonymously with other members of your squad. Due to it being anonymous, it was common for users to sign their name at the end of their reports. All these features are now no longer available after Miiverse's shutdown on November 7th, 2017.
Purge, not jump. Because many fans were introduced to the Xenoblade games through Smash Bros., it means they are more familiar with the Monado arts shown in that game, being jump, speed, shield, buster, and smash. This entry references how these newcomers anticipate a green Monado art, which they think is Monado jump from Smash Bros., but actually find out that art does not exist in Xenoblade, and the green art is rather Monado Purge, which is used for an entirely different function. 7. The 7th character in Xenoblade is tied to major plot points, where even saying the name of the character would spoil major parts of the story for a newcomer. Therefore, the character collectively became referred to as 7, so that people could still talk openly about the character without fear of spoiling things for newcomers.
Coffee with milk. Coffee with milk is a nickname given to Numa to prevent spoiling her existence. The origin of this term is in reference to a cutscene in Chapter 8 where Mythra explains to Rex that her third form is both her and Pyra at the same time, to which Rex then compares them to coffee with milk, much to Mythra's confusion.
Shulk not eating the sandwich. In the game's first chapter, when Fiora brings Shulk lunch at Outlook Park, Shulk is shown to be chowing down on a sandwich. However, Shulk doesn't actually take any bites out of the sandwich, which really brings up the question if Shulk actually ate the sandwich or not. Honestly, it's kind of like Plankton's holographic meatloaf from SpongeBob, but I digress. There's actually a little bit more lore to this lunch than you would originally think. According to the Xenoblade The Secret File Monado Archives art book, Fiora was originally supposed to bring Shulk curry instead of a sandwich, which would explain some of the contextual dialogue surrounding it. However, the idea of a woman bringing a man curry is often viewed as a sexist stereotype in Japanese culture, so it was changed to a sandwich. Which just so happens to be a sexist stereotype in Western culture, so yeah, that's kind of a textbook definition of out of the frying pan and into the fire, if you ask me.
The Conduit. An object appearing near the end of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Its shape and lore evidently show that it is the Xenoblade series' equivalent of the Zohar from Xenosaga and Xenogears in all but name. The Conduit draws an infinite amount of energy from an unknown location and provides it to the Artificers, Aegises, and the World Tree. After Shulk kills Zanza and Rex and Numa kill Malos, the Conduit begins to dematerialize to another location.
Topple locking. A common tactic to pull off in Xenoblade 1, topple locking involves building up your talent gauge, initiating a chain attack, during which you topple the enemy. Then, while the enemy is down, you build up your talent gauge quickly once again to initiate another chain attack, where you use topple arts and daze arts to prolong the topple status. This way, the enemy never recovers to attack you back, making the battle extremely easy. This is also very useful for attacking an enemy of a level much higher than yours, because when an enemy is toppled, you cannot miss.
Nintendo's disregard for spoilers. Every Xenoblade game has been in some capacity spoiled by Nintendo. This includes spoilers within the trailers of each game, as well as certain characters being spoiled with Super Smash Bros. The most recent example of this was in the Xenoblade 3 release date reveal trailer, where they temporarily spoiled that Melia was returning.
Xeno Series Wiki. It's definitely worth mentioning the Xeno Series Wiki, which is a new wiki currently being built that spans all of the Xeno games from Xenogears to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. The difference of this wiki being that it isn't part of the Wikia fandom or wiki farm, and so it's run independently.
Stutter Step. Discovered very early after the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, stutter stepping is the technique used to charge arts faster than usual. Instead of waiting in place for your character to execute all their auto-attack hit animations, by flicking the stick after the first animation, you can reset it and perform the first animation again. Doing this over and over allows you to exploit the speed of the first animation and charge your arts much faster. Tier Free.
Operation Rainfall. Operation Rainfall was a fan campaign that began on the 22nd of June 2011, with the purpose of promoting Japan-only video game titles so that they may see a Western/North American release. The operation began with the intention of trying to get the 3 Wii titles localized: Pandora's Tower, The Last Story, and Xenoblade Chronicles. The name Operation Rainfall came from the method in which they planned to push Nintendo to release these titles in North America. They inundated Nintendo of America with emails and letters, sometimes objects related to the games, in order to get their attention. One of the people included in supporting the efforts of Operation Rainfall was Soraya Saga, one of the main writers for Xenogears and Xenosaga. Later, in an interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé by Silicon Era, while not the ultimate deciding factor in Xenoblade Chronicles' North American release, Operation Rainfall was indeed considered. 3DS, Music Box, and Model Viewer. There are features exclusive to the 3DS port of Xenoblade Chronicles not present in the Wii version, such as allowing the player to listen to every song in the game, as well as view many character models, including bosses. This was the first time many saw the official English names for songs on the official soundtrack, since up until this point, people used fan-translated titles as the soundtrack was only ever released in Japan. Zelda, Animal Crossing, Pikmin, and Splatoon. The common link between all of these titles is that they are properties that Nintendo employs Monolith Soft to assist development for. The most popular instance of this is Monolith Soft helping develop The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Malos the Tank Engine. Occasionally, you may see a meme of a Thomas the Tank Engine character with an image of Malos' face edited onto it. This meme started after people realized that Malos' voice actor, David Menken, is a reoccurring voice actor in the show Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends.
Don't get cocky, you little shit.
Numa Official Art. Since the game's launch, Numa never had official art in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. She only had a head portrait on the left-hand blade selection icons during battle. However, after Pyra and Mithra's inclusion into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Masahiro Sakurai requested that art of Numa be made for the game by the original character artist, Masasugu Saito, meaning that after over 3 years, it was thanks to Sakurai that we finally got official art of Numa. Something about this planet. A line said by Elma at the end of Xenoblade Chronicles X as she looks onto the Lifehold Core database being flooded after it was destroyed on initial impact with Mira. The fact that the database containing all of their personalities was destroyed makes them wonder how could they possibly be alive. In addition to this, all species on Mira appear to be able to communicate with one another, despite not only having no knowledge of each other's languages, but also not having the means to even pronounce them given their different physiologies. All these extremely peculiar phenomena are what draw Elma and the others to question Mira, and come to the conclusion that it must be the planet that is responsible for all this.
Monado Rex. In Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected, Shulk has by this point created himself a new sword called Monado Replica EX, the name of which can be shortened to the Monado Rex, drawing obvious correlations with Rex himself and the Aegis. In fact, the Monado Rex draws many similarities visually with Pyrus' Aegis sword, such as the 4 jets of energy coming from the side of the weapon and the energy of the sword itself having a flavor of green now instead of the original Monado's pure blue.
The Bus Slider. The Bus Slider was originally a customizable feature for the female protagonist character in Xenoblade Chronicles Cross, but was removed in the Western release of the game.
New 3DS faceplate. Included in the Xenoblade Chronicles 3D 3DS console bundle, and also sold separately, a Monado-themed new 3DS faceplate was released alongside the game.
Lynn's outfit changes. During the lead-up to Xenoblade Chronicles Cross's release, it was speculated that Lyn Lee Ku might have her age increased from 13 due to the exposing outfit she was able to wear in the game. Once the game was released in the West, Lynn's age remained the same, but many of her more revealing outfits were changed to include more clothing underneath to cover her up.
Alvis is Ontos. After the release of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Klaus reveals in the ending of the game that there were 3 cores as part of the Trinity processor, Numa becoming Pyra and Mithra, and Logos becoming Malos. Ontos, however, was said to have disappeared forever, after triggering a space-time transition event. Lots of people theorized that this was indeed Alvis, since he called himself Monado at the end of Xenoblade 1. These thoughts were all but confirmed correct after the release of Definitive Edition, where a slight change was made to change the key around Alvis' neck to a red Zohar-shaped gem. Nopon Archsage. The Noppon Archsage is a character introduced in Xenoblade Chronicles 2's expansion pass, found at a portal dimension area known as the Land of Challenge, where the player would be offered various challenge battles for unique rewards or items which could be purchased with Noppon stones. The Noppon Archsage is a rather odd character, as they have knowledge outside of the context in the game, breaking the fourth wall. Such as how he says it's been everyone's dream when he unites Rex, Shulk, and Elma together, or how he describes the party's shock like a 10-ton gorilla with a fancy name appear from nowhere and start playing electric guitar. The Noppon Archsage also appears in Xenoblade Definitive Edition as a new character added to that game, transporting characters from different dimensions all for his entertainment. It's clear out of all of the characters in this franchise, the Noppon Archsage appears to be most powerful.
Galahad to Arm Shortcut. Normally, when you jump off one of the Titans, you go into the normal deathfall animation, but there is one location within this game where this isn't the case. If you revisit Galahad Fortress after the boss fight against Yaldabaoth, you can go back to the battle arena, but you will see that the whole area has collapsed, as was shown in the cutscene. Jumping off at this particular location will not put you into the deathfall animation, and instead, you will be transported to the Fallen Arm, specifically where Shulk and Fiora awakens. This is only accessible before the Jade-faced boss fight, as shortly afterwards, the Bionis allied force will invade Sword Valley and this area will become inaccessible.
The Samarians. The Samarians are a mysterious race that are mentioned in Xenoblade X multiple times. They apparently arrived from another universe and founded the Samar Federation, a federation with a radius of 6 million light-years that spans multiple galaxies. Their federation consists of themselves and other life forms whose physical composition is similar to their own. The Ganglion are also a part of the Samar Federation, operating as a crime syndicate.
All the races of New LA. Throughout the course of Xenoblade X, you will meet many different alien races, some of whom you can invite to live within the walls of New LA. This trend is started with Tatsu when we first meet him and is shortly followed up with El and the Manon. Other alien races include the Orphean, Zarubogan, Rothians, prone of the Trien Cavern clans, as well as a Klurian and a Gawa in the form of Celica and Rock.
The Great One. The Great One is a name brought up by Luxar throughout the latter half of Xenoblade X. We only know a few details about the Great One, but what we do know is that they were the pilot of the mysterious Skell known as the Vita, which itself we also know little about. But we do know a few details. It was created with the technology unknown to both the Ganglion and the humans, and its purple body is composed of dark matter, which is said to absorb from its surroundings. The only reason Luxar had the ability to use the Skell was because the blood of the Great One runs through his veins, but even then he could not unlock all of its potential.
Poppy 7728. This is the Discord tag for the Poppy bot used in many Xenoblade Discord servers. In addition to its basic utility commands, the Poppy bot has commands for arts, skills, equipments, and characters for all the Xenoblade games from Xenoblade 1 to Torna.
The Zohar. A recurring element of the Xeno series, initially introduced in Xenogears by the name of the Zohar, a large monolithic structure with a singular eye at its centre that was once part of the Eldridge ship until it crashed. In Xenosaga, the Zohar was reintroduced bearing a slightly different shape, but similar connections to the divinity as in Xenogears. Of course, in Xenoblade, there is the conduit. Its shape is slightly different once more, as it has shorter arms that are nearer to the top, although the Aegis core crystals are identical to the Zohar shape from Xenosaga, and this shape is also seen in the Xenoblade 10th anniversary artwork. Even internally, the conduit in Xenoblade 2 is referred to as Zohar in the game's files. All three instances of the Zohar throughout the Xeno series have identical story elements. It's found in Africa, used by humans to cause the near destruction or loss of a planet, and used as an infinite source of energy.
Xenogears Disc 2. When it comes to Xenogears, Disc 2 is always brought up for its infamy, due to the team behind Xenogears running out of development time after Takahashi was too ambitious with the story, It caused the second disc to differ greatly in terms of quality from the first. Lots of exploration was missing. Instead, many sections of this disc involved the player going from one boss fight to another with explanations as to what happened in between. And famously, Faye and Ellie would be seen sitting down for entire cutscenes in this chair, just recounting the story to the player instead of actually animating the cutscenes. Though it's probably better that they actually finish the story instead of just ending the game on disc 1. Xenogears Perfect Works. This book was published on August 10th, 1998. It details the entire story of Xenogears along with artwork from the game. However, along with this, it goes into extreme detail about the plot and characters, including aspects that never made it into the final game. The book also contains expanded lore and a timeline of events for the entire Xenogears universe, which are often cited by fans, as these events are recreated in different ways for both the Xenosaga and Xenoblade series. Xeno minigames. Throughout the Xeno games, there's almost always been a minigame included. In Xenogears, for example, there was the Norchun Battle Arena that plays almost like a 3D fighter, as well as the Speed card game. In Xenosaga 1, there was Xenocard, which, as the name suggests, was a Xenosaga card game, which could be accessed by using the card passport at EVS points. In Xenosaga 3, there was Hackhawks, which was a 3D puzzle game that could be accessed either from a terminal at 5th Jerusalem or at a game cabinet on the Elsa. And in Xenoblade 2, there is of course Tiger Tiger.
Xenoblade HD. Xenoblade HD is an ambitious overhaul of every texture in an attempt to preserve the integrity of the original textures. Using an emulator such as Dolphin, you can use this in conjunction with a high resolution to make the game appear HD. There are caveats with most HD works, and it really depends if you prefer this over Definitive Edition's look.
Have you checked out the Xenosaga and Gears wiki? Similar to its Xenoblade counterpart, this is the fandom wiki site dedicated to the Xenosaga games, as well as Xenogears. It has everything you need to know about bosses, side quests, items, and story details.
Xenogears, Episode 5. Within the Perfect Works book, there are 6 episodes in total, and Xenogears is based on the 5th one. Episodes 1 through 4 are based around the past of Xenogears, which is brought up through the game, whereas episode 6 is outlining future events. There was once a plan to make games based around the other episodes, if Xenogears sold over 1 million copies. However, it failed to do so, selling just shy of 900,000 copies.
Secret File Monado Archives. The Secret File Monado Archives was an art book released only in Japan. It contains official artwork, concept designs, information about the characters and enemies, interviews, and more. It is through this book that you can find lots of details that aren't found in the game itself, and make it essential reading for Xenoblade lore buffs. Thankfully, the book was fully translated by a team led by Paradigm and Eriko and posted online for all to read.
Secret File, Arts of Mira. The Secret File Art of Mira book is an art book released exclusively in Japan on December 25th, 2015. As well as official art and concept art, this book contains a great deal more background information and lore, as is usually the case with the Secret File books. Although one thing that is very interesting is how some pages contained redacted information, such as with the page about the ghosts. It'll be interesting to find out, if we'll ever find out, what the secret information is about in the future of Xenoblade Chronicles X.
The Gnosis. The Gnosis are the primary enemies within Xenosaga. They are beings whose real forms exist within the imaginary number domain, and they have the ability to transform any living matter they touch into either salt, where the matter breaks down, or into another Gnosis. They can only be defeated by utilizing the Hilbert effect and dragging them into the real number domain, where conventional weapons can then affect them. The Gnosis are created when a consciousness's fear is strong enough to reject the collective unconscious, and thus remain separate. The further they then move away from the collective unconscious, the more they transform into a Gnosis.
Official Monado Replicas. Soon after the release of the 3DS port of Xenoblade Chronicles, Nintendo released videos of a selection of tracks from the game being performed live. In these videos, a replica of the Monado can be seen propped up next to the musicians. The same, or very similar prop, is then seen on display at E3 2018, along with many other props from other Nintendo games as part of the Smash Bros. Section of Nintendo's booth.
Xenoblade X music titles. If you are familiar with Xenoblade X, then it's likely you've heard its soundtrack. Hiroyuki Sawano is known for his extremely peculiar track titles for his compositions, and Xenoblade X is no different. To most people, the titles of Xenoblade X track look like nonsense, and it becomes quite funny if, for example, your favorite track is N07G-LOW-S Arrow FSKO. However, just recently, the YouTube channel Quest Clear made a video deciphering the meaning of many of these tracks, and they all have their relevant meanings.
All Rest Records. The Xenoblade 2 All Rest Records is an art book released exclusively in Japan, containing not only the art, but a lot of lore from the game. It hasn't been fully translated as of now, but according to those who have read it, it doesn't contain much new information that isn't already available in the game itself. It unfortunately does not live up to the 2 previous secret file books. Xenosaga 1 Reloaded. Xenosaga 1 Reloaded is a Japan-exclusive re-release of the original game in Japan, released November 6, 2003. This version of the game contains English voice acting, a way to play back the game's cutscenes, and 2 new outfits for KOS-MOS and Momo. KOS-MOS' archetype outfit, seen previously only in cutscenes, can be found in the Woglinde's Eggs hangar, and a Kirschwasser outfit for Momo can be found in the 3rd tower in the Song of Nephilim. This version of the game also uses the censored version of the Albedo cutscene from the American release, and not the first version found in the original Japanese release. One final interesting tidbit is that Reloaded actually contains an older version of the English dub, as in some cutscenes, Realians are actually referred to as synths instead. Albedo cutscene changes. In Xenosaga 1, there's a particularly violent cutscene where Albedo demonstrates his inability to die by decapitating himself. In the initial Japanese version of the game, Albedo did this by drawing a knife and hacking off his head by the neck, all while still being heavily censored by specifically placed black bars or shadows. In the American localization, this part of the scene was reanimated to change it from him cutting his head off with a knife to, instead, him grabbing his head with his hands and twisting it backwards until he eventually tears it off. Again, with well-placed camera angles and shadows to hide the gruesome detail. But many find this change as odd, since the American version is arguably more gruesome. In Xenosaga Episode 2, yet another Albedo scene was changed. In a flashback to Albedo as a young child, he yet again shows his immortality by shooting himself in the head with a gun, though, strangely, the bullet from the gun appears to remove his entire head. In the Western release, instead of a gun, Albedo obliterates his head with an energy ball, seemingly in an effort to remove the imagery of a child with a gun to their head. This fortunately improves the scene, as it's a lot more believable that an energy ball would destroy his head rather than just a simple gunshot.
Duncan and Rain. When Xenoblade Definitive Edition reviews rolled around, many anticipated what big publications would say, but nobody was ready for Rain or Duncan. The review was mocked within the Xeno community for its many mispronunciations, as well as showing endgame areas filled with spoilers heavily in the review. The voiceover was done separately from the scriptwriter, so this could have been why there were so many mistakes. The re-uploaded version corrected Rain to Rhine, but still contained a mistake with Duncan now being called Dunbond.
Resonant Arc Analysis. Resonant Arc is a YouTube channel run by Mike Brown and Kaysen Sperry, dedicated to creating video essays and podcasts about video game storytelling. Resonant Arc created a 21-part series analyzing the story of Xenogears, each video ranging from 2 to 4 hours in length. They handle their podcast like a book club, stating how far into the game the viewers should progress before their next episode. It is often said that Xenogears is filled with philosophical references, religious references, and the like, and this is clearly demonstrated throughout the sheer size of their series. If you ever wish to get the most out of Xenogears, definitely consider watching this or even playing alongside their videos. L-Surf. L-Surf is the full name of playable character L from Xenoblade Chronicles X. He is an extremely mysterious character. We don't meet any other people of his species, yet he claims to be a native of Mira similar to the Nopon. L also has a keen fascination with humans. The name L-Surf is actually an anagram of the name Lucifer, possibly suggesting there's something hidden behind L's friendly persona.
Kaori Tanaka, also known by her pen name Sorya Saga, is a writer-artist and wife to Tetsuya Takahashi. Both having worked at Squaresoft, they married in 1995, and with their shared passion for philosophy, they wrote the story of Xenogears together. After this, they also wrote Xenosaga Episode 1, 2, and Pied Piper. However, Sorya Saga was notified that she'd no longer be required following the release of Episode 2, since she's a freelance writer. Her most recent contribution to the Xeno franchise was in Xenoblade 2, where she was a guest artist who designed the blade Gorg.
Yuki Kajira, a composer for anime and video games such as Maihime, Madoka Magica, Sword Art Online, Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, All Noah Zero, and more. She invented her own language, Kajira Go, for her music, often used but has no real true meaning. Yuki Kajira's compositions in the series consist of Xenosaga Episode 2, Xenosaga A Missing Year, and Xenosaga Episode 3.
Lego Star Wars reference. In Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, you can hear a line that I'm sure many are familiar with.
Now this is a party! I'm really feeling it!
This was a line suggested to voice actor Adam Howden by one of the developers at Traveller's Tales as one of the last puzzles they'd been working on, and decided to work the line in. He wasn't sure where it was from at first, but was told by the script editor that it was indeed a Xenoblade reference.
Makos, a figure that came from the Japan Limited box, known as a collector's edition outside of Japan for Xenosaga Episode 2. It has an intense stare that can pierce into the deepest souls and is said to hold all the knowledge of the Xenoverse. Though, I'm only partly joking.
Oblivia Rings. In the Oblivia region of Mira, there can be found gigantic, mechanical rings protruding out of the ground. Ever since the release of Xenoblade X, many theorize that these could have been part of the Mechonis, as it also has giant rings around its left shoulder. This is one of the arguments proposed as to why Xenoblade X and Mira take place after the events of Xenoblade 1.
Xenosaga was meant to be a part of a 6-part series. In an interview with Tetsuya Takahashi from GameSpot on June 8, 2001, he tells us directly that Xenosaga is meant to be 6 episodes long, or at least a part of 6 episodes. In Xenogears Perfect Works book, it can be seen that Takahashi's vision was in the form of 6-episode saga. Sadly, due to decreasing sales in the series, Xenosaga was shortened to only 3 episodes long.
Fiorung. Originally, the character Fiora was translated as Fiorung, such as in the early translated song title Shulk and Fiorung. Xenoblade 1 original soundtrack fan titles. Prior to the release of the jukebox feature in Xenoblade 3D in 2015, songs were known by their unofficial direct Japanese to English translations. This change affected almost every song in the game, but some notable examples include Those Who Bear Their Name in place of You'll Know Our Names, One Who Gets in Our Way instead of An Obstacle in Our Path, and Grandeur instead of Majesty. Titles which included character names were also quite different, with Egil being referred to as Aegir, Zanza being referred to as Xanthe, and Fiora being referred to as Fiorung. Being familiar with the unofficial titles, or even being completely unaware that a title has had its name changed, can sometimes act as an indication of a long-standing fan of the game.
That's all for this video. The rest of the tiers in the icebergs will be explored through the rest of this series. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next part.